Welcome then to this session as we take a look at searching CINAHL on the new EBSCOhost user interface. And I appreciate a number of you may not yet migrated to the new EBSCOhost interface, particularly in the NHS and also the HSC in Ireland. So we are going to be exploring an interface which may be new to most of you. Some of you may have had previews of this previously, or you may have attended the Medline session, which also covers the new interface. So for those who haven't been on one of those sessions or have not met me before, I'm Richard Crooks. I work for the EBSCO Customer Training Services team as a senior customer training specialist based in the East Midlands in the UK. So I've worked with EBSCO now for almost 14 years in total. I recently rejoined in July, and I've previously supported NHS Library Services as a librarian for 12 years. So typically supporting customers in the UK and Ireland. So that's me. Glad you could join the session this morning. So in terms of what we're going to cover, we will look at the new interface features, highlight some in particular. We'll look at the basic advanced search, subject headings, use of filters, limiters, and tools to store site save references via the live demo. So we'll spend much of the time on the demonstration of the interface. And of course, you can respond in the Teams chat to anything you see or anything I need to review with you in particular. And then time permitting, we'll have some time for questions at the end as well. In terms of the actual session objectives, I hope that by the end of this session, so within the next hour, you'll be able to recognize and locate the new features of the interface. You will also understand how to execute basic and advanced searches, including the use of subject headings, filters, and limiters. So just a caveat there are some features that are coming out in October next month. So there'll be things there that you may not see today that there will be in the future, certainly beyond October onwards, but I will allude to that as we go, as we get towards the end of the session today. And also you'll be able to access and use various tools within the EBSCOhost interface to manage research, etc. So appreciate we have mostly librarians, library staff from the Sheriff group of libraries and also some from the NHS and also the HSC. We may even have some students and faculty on board this session as well, so you're welcome, of course. So I will go through a brief overview of CINAHL for the benefit of those who are completely new to the database. I know most of you are not, but for those who are, and also for those who will be listening to the recording at a later time as well. So just a reminder that CINAHL, the Cumulative Index of Nursing and Allied Health Literature, covers, of course, all nursing and allied health specialties. That includes cardiovascular nursing, critical care nursing, nuclear medicine, occupational therapy, pediatric nursing, physiotherapy, psychiatric nursing, and more. It also covers health science librarianship, by the way, which is not widely known. But we won't be looking at that topic today, essentially. But we will focus on more of the clinical related topics. And just to also add here, I want to point out that this session is relevant to all versions of CINAHL. So although we've entitled it CINAHL, it's applicable to all versions of CINAHL. Now, some of you may have upgraded to versions like CINAHL Plus in full text, or CINAHL Complete, or CINAHL Ultimate, and there you'll have obviously more active full text journals accessible, plus non-embargoed content. And in the case of CINAHL Complete, CINAHL Ultimate, you also have the nursing videos. So whichever version you have with CINAHL as it's available nationally in the NHS, or CINAHL Complete nationally in the HSC in Ireland, the principles that we're looking at today for searching, for navigating the interface will be across the board, essentially whichever version you have. So just to clarify that. In terms of the new features and enhancements, just a few to highlight initially before we get into the live demonstration. So we have EBSCO's new URL structure, and just to clarify what that means in practice, it means that now the browser address bar URL for any page for the new interface is now a permalink. So for those of you who are familiar with Classic, still using the original interface, you'll note that there is typically a permalink link that you use to bookmark articles, etc. Now the browser URL can be bookmarked. So previously it was a session-based URL. In the new interface, it's the permalink. Okay, so I'm sure that is welcome as it's pretty intuitive to use. Again, we've often, advised library staff, users not to bookmark the web address because it's session-based. Now it is possible to do that. In addition, there's this ongoing effort, as you can appreciate, EBSCO, in accordance with WCAG guidelines worldwide, to ensure that the interface is accessible to all user groups. So It's a responsive interface, so you can use it on different devices, whether you're accessing through a mobile device, a tablet, laptop, desktop, etc. There's also a simplified design, as you'll see, a lot of white space, and we get comments about this. But again, there's a reason for this. It's designed to reduce the cognitive load for users. There's the auto-suggest, autocorrect features, the functionality there. It's easier to access quick filters than before. There's also the support for accessible ebook formats such as EPUB and DRM-free text. We have headings and landmarks for screen reader navigation, so the likes of JAWS, etc. There's also descriptive text for images and non-text, so the alt text things you'll see. Transcripts for videos where appropriate as well. And also the text-to-speech has been enhanced. So typically HTML online full text has always been supported with this feature. So in other words, you can download the MP3 of the article. Now with the PDF full text, you can also do the same. In addition, there's also this effort for globalization. As you can appreciate, we're an international company. So as a result, we make sure that the interface is suitable for multiple languages. Currently it supports 33 languages, and the most recent addition has been Hindi. So you can see a screenshot there of the new interface with the navigation panel, etc., and the other elements translated already. Doesn't, of course, change the actual content coverage, whatever language the article is published in, etc., but the interface itself can be navigated according to a preferred language. So that's something which can be selected in my preferences and can be in conjunction with the EBSCO personal account. Okay, so whether you're just a native speaker or you like to see it in another language, as it were, that you're familiar with, then you can also enable that as appropriate. And you may have users, of course, especially overseas students arriving, may not be, may still be adjusting to the language, etc., and they may want to view it in the preferred language, which they can do so. Okay. We also support language translation with the HTML articles, which we hopefully will see later too. In addition, this is probably especially exciting to mention because historically with CINAHL, if you were limited by geography, as many of you will know, it restricted or limited results, filtered results to country publications. So there was a feature, and there is a feature still, it's still there, geographic subset, and you would see UK and Ireland, and that's by default. You go to that, assuming that whatever results you retrieve will be relevant to your search related to a specific population group, whether it's in the UK or Ireland. Now that is country publication, so it would filter for the likes of British General Nursing, Word of Irish Nursing and Midwifery. So not necessarily the coverage of the actual article, but rather the actual country publication. Now, with the new location of practice filter, you can filter results to UK specific content. Now, unfortunately, Ireland's not included there. I can ask about that. It is based on the indexing of content in CINAHL, but so you can see, for example, Africa, the Americas, Asia, Australia, etc. You can limit by these territories, and it's related specifically to the subject content. Okay, so not the country publications. It could be another US journal, but it could be a population group based in the UK, for example, where the research was carried out. So again, this location of practice. We've also enhanced the Pico search app. You'll see now it includes the T element. So whether you call it Pico or Picot, it includes the time or type of study. So how long would it take to reach the desired outcome? What types of studies are needed? So that is kind of an add-on, if you like. You don't necessarily have to use that field. You've got the 5 fields altogether. The ones that are essential are population and intervention, as you'd expect with Pico, but you've also got the comparison and outcome where appropriate as well. So that has also been enhanced and applied, of course, to the interface. Now, one thing we won't look at today in detail is generative AI insights. Some of you may have heard of this. Some of you may even tried this out. These are insights which are 2 to 5 point summaries for each full text document indexed in CINAHL. Okay, so these summarize the article. So if they're full text, it's prompted by a large language model to do this. And the intention behind this is really to reduce the time users spend searching for full text articles, so it facilitates a more rapid review. So it kind of complements the abstract. Abstracts are generally, of course, a paragraph of text with some sections indicated. These are bulleted points. Now, the AI Insight prompt uses the RAG method, the retrieval augmented generation, to reduce hallucinations. In addition to that, EBSCO also reviews a representative example of AI insights with subject matter experts. So that provides the human in the loop intervention, and that checks for bias, tone, accuracy, timeliness, etc. So essentially, it's a button below the result on the result list, and you click through to that, and it opens up a summary, and then you can also indicate whether that is helpful or otherwise. Again, it's something which you would need to enable. It's a feature that's enabled in our EBSCO Experience Manager tool. That is the admin tool for administering the new interface, although EBSCO Admin, the traditional tool, is still used for it as well. Currently, there are two tools that have been administered the interface, but eventually EBSCO Experience Manager will be the main tool. Okay, but generative AI insights is enabled there, but you may want to speak to your EBSCO rep to discuss that further. There is no cost to this, by the way. I know nationally it's been cited in the NHS not to use it currently, but again, you may want to explore that further. We also have the AI-empowered natural language search mode as well. So this will allow researchers to search using everyday terminology, typically, and we advise in the form of a question or a statement. Okay, so again, it's making retrieval faster. It enables everyday language queries, so it's very intuitive, and it kind of reflects the common familiar experience with tools like Siri, Google, and Alexa. Okay, so that is available, and we'll see that in practice in a moment. So it can be enabled. It is for certain groups, of course, in the NHS. It's currently defaulted to be made visible, although it's not on. You need to enable that, but it will be seen as an option. Okay, and it's also available as a search mode within the advanced search page. So some institutions choose to hide that. They may not feel it's appropriate. Some may only have it for the basic search and not advanced search, etc. So that is available now, and we'll look at that very soon. But we now go to the live demonstration. So I will switch screens here, and in a moment, you should see my advanced search page for CINAHL. So we've got the advanced search page, and obviously you'll notice this is my default entry point. So I do this because typically for most institutions, certainly in the NHS, HSC, and I believe in most academic institutions, universities, etc., this is where your users will come to. Now, some universities will have maybe a dedicated profile for undergraduates. Some will have it for postgraduates. So you may distinguish between the way they're searching. So, for example, we do a basic search here and present you with a very Google-like screen. There's a couple, several quick filters here. Linked full text, by the way, indicates that this is an abstract index only database. So much of the content that you'll see here that's full text will come from your national, regional, local journal subscriptions. Also, we use smart linking, which means if you subscribe to another EBSCOhost database, so for example, if you have Medline Ultimate and you have CINAHL, then some of the Medline Ultimate content that is also indexed in CINAHL, the full text links will be pulled through to CINAHL. Okay, so it looks very much like a full text database, even though the quantity of full text for CINAHL by default very small compared to, say, CINAHL Ultimate, for example. Peer reviewed, of course, is there, and then you have the date, the publication options there. We also have the natural language filter here, search mode, which we'll use via the advanced page in a moment. And then we have the Pico app here, which we'll go into. So I won't do any searching on this page for now. I will go back to advanced search. You'll see here we've got the 3 rows. So we've got the option to combine terms using the Boolean operators here and or exclude via not. We can add more rows. So originally this was 7 when this was originally released. It's now 12 in keeping with the original interface, the classic interface. So you can add up to 12 rows. So you can enter 12 lines of terms and combine them, etc. We have the fields here. So by default, it will search across all fields. If you want to know an unqualified search, what it's actually searching, we do have database help files within EBSCO Connect, our support site, which details the fields that each database is searching directly by default. So you can see here, we've got these options. We now have title and abstract XB, which will find terms within the title or abstract field simultaneously. So we can come back to that a bit later, perhaps, and others there that are specific to CINAHL. Okay. Then below that, we also have the filters. So by default, you'll see the filters here. So if I scroll down, you'll see things like abstract, available, English language, and so on. And I will come back to this in a moment, but you'll see here, below here, we do have location of practice and there you'll see alphabetically listed. There is the United Kingdom. Okay, so we'll use that shortly. We also have the search options specifically. So by default, the default search for keyword searching within CINAHL on this interface is proximity. Now, what does that mean? Basically means that you're searching for words in any order within a specified word range. So if I go to EBSCO Connect here, this is the context-sensitive help menu. If I click on that link there, this will give you more details. Now, I will qualify this in a moment as well. So you see the different search modes here. Proximity we just seen, that is the default search mode for most EBSCOhost databases, to be honest. But you'll see here it searches using the near operator N5. So in this example, web accessibility, it would be web near 5 words or less of accessibility and vice versa. So for example, if you put in child obesity, it would find child within 5 words or less of obesity, and also obesity within 5 words or less of child. Okay. Now, with the NHS, if you work in the NHS in England, if you're a librarian in the NHS in England, then this has been reconfigured for the within operator. So that means the words would appear in the order they're entered. So if you put in pediatric nursing, it would search those keywords next to each other in that order. Okay, so it can be configured behind the scenes in the admin tools. Okay, it's also been rebranded to say phrase. So these can be relabeled, by the way, as well. Like, it's possible to relabel these. There's also the natural language search here as well. So again, you can see that there. Okay. You can see more information, by the way, about configuring these search modes here. Now, if you work in the NHS in England, obviously it's configured at a national level, so you have limited options to make changes to that, etc. Or we'll do so. Now, obviously, at the moment in the NHS in England, like other NHS organisations and the NHS in Ireland, you have not yet migrated. That will be later this year. So, and some of you in the Sheriff group also may not have made that switch just yet. Some of you may have made the switch a month ago in August, which was the kind of worldwide release date for this. So again, any comments, questions on any of this, please do let me know. So that's the search modes. You can see others that are here, and we've got natural language search here. We'll come to that in a moment. We also have the expanders. So by default, in my demonstration, I am defaulting to apply current subjects here. If I click, and you've got these 3 others. Now, again, in the NHS, you have all 3. I think all 3. Well, actually, that's the hub. That's the discovery service. But again, it may be configured differently for EBSCOhost. But at the moment, I've got this one on, which means it's going to take my keyword searches where appropriate, map that to a particular concept, and in turn, through that concept, will identify the CINAHL subheadings that relate to this search and retrieve results based on the indexing, in addition to my free text searching. So again, if you want more detailed information about that, just click EBSCO Connect, the context-sensitive help menu, and it'll take you to this page, and it will give you more information on that functionality. Okay, so it's quite handy options there to explore further these features. Publications, that just basically lists the index publications within CINAHL, as you can see here. So if I entered, for example, British Journal, sorry, let me just nursing, then you'll see that pops up here, and I click through to it. Okay, so that just gives you the publications. In Classic, it's always been across the top of the screen. Now it's within these tabs here. And finally, we have CINAHL headings here as well. So we'll come back to that. So what I want to do is just demonstrate the natural language search. Again, you can do it from the basic search page or from within advanced search at this stage. So what I'm going to do here is just go to search options, switch to natural language search mode, and I'm going to add a question here. So what are the standards of care for pressure ulcers? And just give it some authenticity as a question, I'll put the question mark. Now, I'm also going to apply the location of practice filter as well, because I want to be quite specific that I'm looking at a UK research or population group. So I'm going to scroll down and just go to filters here on the first tab and scroll down, and I'm going to apply this filter here. Okay. And choose United Kingdom and then search. Okay. Okay, so I've got just 212 results, not too bad. I've got the most relevant sorted at the moment, but what I might also do in a moment is restrict it by publication date. So I don't want anything too old, maybe in the last 5 years. You see this one is 2002, so it's quite old really. So I'm going to go to the 5 years. But before we do that, I just want to highlight with the natural language search, I mentioned it's AI powered, it's using a large language model, it's using Claude Haiku, I believe, at this stage. And you'll see here, there is the option to show the refined query. So if I click this one, you'll see the Boolean logic for this query. So what it's done is taken my question and translated it into this Boolean search. So pressure ulcers, let me just make the zoom in a little bit, it's probably a bit small on screen. Pressure ulcers or bed sores combined with and, standards or guidelines or recommendations or standard of care. And it's put that in quotation marks, by the way, for an exact phrase search as well. Okay, so it's generated this query and then run the search and brought back results below. Okay, now what I'm going to do, as I said, I'm going to limit this to the past 5 years so I get more recent content. I can sort by the most recent, by the way. Sorry, not here. Just the tools, not that one. It's this one, date newest here. So I can go for the most recent just by clicking that link. However, I'm going to go to all time, so not peer reviewed. Didn't mean to do that. Anyway, past 5 years, and now we've got the results below. Okay, so you can see here, and you can see this rates a UK acute trust, etc., published in the Journal of Clinical Nursing, and then that's 4 years old. And then you've got from the British Journal of Community Nursing, this one from 2024. Below that, you've got primary healthcare from April 2024, etc. So you can see we've got references here, more recent references for the last 5 years, and this one's actually even more recently in the British Journal of Community Nursing this year. Okay, so again, you can see the content there. So I just wanted to highlight that. So just maybe zooming out there. Okay, so so I got down to 22. I had 212. I limited it by the past 5 years. Got 22 records, and of course, I also applied the filter location of practice as well. So again, if you've got any comments or questions, please feel free to post them in the Teams chat. I think we've got one here from Kate. Will the use of exact phrase searching operators continue to override the proximity default option? Yes, I believe so. I believe it would. Okay. So yeah. Yeah, so yes, it certainly would there, because the default proximity search is near 5 words or less. So again, once you use quotation marks, you are specifying those terms must be an exact phrase. So that would override the proximity search. Okay, the search mode, the default search mode. Okay, as I said, within the NHS itself, they have configured that mode to be an exact phrase within 0 words or less. Okay, so when you do enter your terms, it will be treated as a phrase search directly in the order that you enter the terms. Okay, so that clarifies it. Okay, so that's the natural language search, which I wanted to begin with. Now we are going to move on to a bit more specific searching, as it were. So I'm going to now clear my screen and clear this entry here. And I want to make use of these fields, etc. And I also want to just introduce you to the CINAHL headings, by the way, as well. So for example, if you are going to look for a topic search, then you can use the subject field. So just to clarify this, so if we go to CINAHL headings, for example, and you do a search for heart attack, then what you could do if you use term begins with, if that's not there, if you click search here, it will prompt to use the alternative term or the actual term used by indexers. So this is myocardial infarction. So although we search for heart attack, you can say it's one and the same. That's our free text search, but this is now bringing up the actual CINAHL subject heading, myocardial infarction. And then if you click on that link, it will give you the scope note for this term, this condition. It will tell what it's used for. So any of these terms that you enter will bring back this result, this subject term. You can see any related headings, and you'll see the subject tree below. So you can see here it sits under myocardial ischemia under heart diseases, and the top heading is cardiovascular diseases. And then you would just select this term. Notice it's exploded by default, so that would also include, if I just close this, other terms here below, and then I can click add to search, and it would enter the subject heading in the top search box there. Okay, so that will give you the field code MH, which means it's the exact subject heading. So it's the term used by indexers within CINAHL to identify content that relates to heart attack, etc. And the plus sign indicates that that is exploded to include narrow terms as well. Okay. So that's just a quick illustration of CINAHL headings. And by the way, on the left-hand column, you have the option also to select it from here. So under Research Tools, you'll see CINAHL headings here, and that'll take you to this tab also. So if you click New Search, then click on that, and it will take you to that page eventually, or it will go there eventually. Okay, so maybe before we do a search, just clarify some other features here before we do another search here. So on the left-hand column, as I just mentioned this, you've got My Dashboard. So My Dashboard features these elements, these 4 elements: projects. These are your custom folders, and for that you need to be signed in to EBSCO. So EBSCO is what you see on the top right there. If I click on that, you'll see it opens up this box. I can create an account if I don't have one here. I can use Google Sign In, by the way, if that's appropriate for me, where I am. I can add my first name, last name is optional. You can add your email address, create the password, take a note of the criteria below, agree to the consent form for collection of data. And if you want to know more about that, there is the EBSCO's privacy policy that you can link through to create the account, and then you can start using it. Okay, so that's needed if you want to save projects. These are your custom folders, if you like, when you're saving items, but you're specifying a particular folder that you're setting up yourself, as opposed to the save folder, which is a default folder for saving items, searches, etc., from within CINAHL and other databases. So you can sign in there. Otherwise, you have the option to, if you are in the NHS in England, for example, they have EBSCO single sign-on with Open Athens. So in other words, when you sign into your Athens account for CINAHL, you should be automatically, the folder should already be set up for you. So the EBSCO account would be integrated with that, so you wouldn't need to go through any other process. So for me, I will need to just go in here and then sign in. And then nothing really changes, although I'm using a demonstration site, so it's got a lot more database available. So I'm just going to click select here and go back to CINAHL. But you'll see projects now. If I go to projects now, you'll see here I've got a number of projects I've created. So these include, for example, this one here, records I saved plus searches as well. Okay, so you can collate your records and save searches in a particular project that you name yourself, etc. Okay, so projects are custom folders. For those who will be switching to the new interface in due course, there is an option to download a report. So you can click Get Report, and then you can download a report, which will download a spreadsheet, a record of what folders you have in the classic interface. So your folders and subfolders, etc. Okay, so you can download a report up until the end of December. So as you're exploring, once you have access to this particular interface, then you can download a report and it will detail the content, the folders that you have from the classic interface. So projects are custom folders. We'll use more of this as we go through the live demonstration. The saved area is basically the default place. So it's equivalent to my folder within or my articles within the classic interface. So whenever you save an item directly, it'll be saved here, and likewise with the search. Okay. Now, of course, if you've not if you've not signed in, it will be for the duration of the session. Okay. Recent activities. So this will record everything we're doing, including the search history. You can see my queries here. These all relate to the natural language search. So I started off and then applied. I've got the location practice filter there, but then I added peer reviewed here. I did the past 5 years here, etc. So it's recording, tracking what I'm doing. And also, if I viewed any records during the course of my searching, it would also record them there. So these are just what I viewed. This search history is just how I've been searching for the past few minutes, etc. Okay, and by the way, you can go in and delete these, which I will do so now. Okay, so I'm just going to remove these, or at least remove the first couple. Okay, so you can go in and tidy this up as needed. In fact, I will do so because we're going to be using this again in a moment. Okay, so you just delete these and it clears the screen, etc. Alerts, we'll come back to that a bit later, but basically you can set up journal alerts, be alerted to new content publications, and also search alerts as well to keep up to date with the literature. And then, of course, new search, we've seen that already. You click through and it'll refresh the screen. The online help here, by the way, takes you directly to EBSCO Connect, and it takes you to the EBSCOhost Quick Start Guide, so the new interface guide. And you can see how there's a link to the tutorial for the interface, and then there's things like basic search, advanced search, applying filters, searching with Boolean operators, searching with wildcards, etc., and so on. So these all relate specifically to the new interface. Below that, I did mention this earlier, we have database help files. So again, if you're unclear or want to know more about how the databases are searching, even on the new interface, for example, with an unqualified keyword search, then you'd go to the specific database like CINAHL, and then you can download the spreadsheet, download the help guide for CINAHL in this instance. Okay, so I won't go through all that, but it does give you the information there. Okay, now again, this may be different for some user groups. So, for example, with the NHS Knowledge and Library Hub, which is our EBSCO Discovery Service, which is also using the new interface, the help menu there for NHS England goes to their help on the hub page. So it may be configured to go to an equivalent help site, maybe a page on your library site that is useful to your end users. So again, it may be configured differently, but by default, the help menu here goes directly to EBSCO Connect. Previously with Classic had its own internal menu system, but now with Connect, it's much easier to update content and make it accessible. Publications Authority, this again just takes you back to the Publications tab where you can explore publications there, and we saw some headings earlier. So just a recap really of the two panels there, my dashboard, research tools for using them as you go through this database as you're using it. So I'm just going to do another search here quickly. I'm conscious of the time here. I know things do move on quickly here, but we're going to look at bowel cancer screening, and I'm going to type initially for a term. As I type here, you can see the autocomplete feature comes up, and this is basically presenting typical terms used by search terms used by users. So you don't have to use any of these. You may carry on typing, enter your own terms, but for the sake of time, I'm going to select these ones. I'm also going to qualify this by the XB field code. So this is title and abstract. Again, it will search then these terms as they appear in either the title or abstract field, or possibly both. But I'm also going to combine this with a subject search. So for that, I'm going to select the drop down, choose or, go to CINAHL headings, and I'm going to browse for the term bowel cancer. Okay, so again, I'm going to type here. I'm going to choose term begins with and search, and you'll see here it prompts me to use colorectal neoplasms. So once again, if I select this term, this CINAHL heading, it gives me the scope note. It tells me what it's used for. So if I put in colorectal cancer, I'll be brought to this index term. History notes. So before 1989, you would use colonic neoplasms, etc. Also gives you related headings, and once again gives you the CINAHL subject tree. So you can see this comes under digestive system diseases, gastrointestinal diseases, etc. And then you have colorectal neoplasms, and you can select this term. And by the way, it does open up to show you the subheadings. So if your search is not that extensive, it's not so comprehensive, it's not a systematic literature search, it may be supporting a nurse, oncology nurse regarding a particular assignment, then you may be focusing on things like, for example, epidemiology or complications, or it could be dietitian, it's diet therapy, and so on. So again, you may focus on specific aspects using the subheadings, and each one has its own individual scope note as well. But by default, all subheadings are included. Now, if I click Add to Search, you'll see it appends the CINAHL heading, colorectal neoplasms, which has been exploded to include the rated terms here. So now we're combining the free text search terms with the index search, and we click search here. Now, of course, that's only one half of our query. We are looking at screening as well. So what we're going to do now is go back to new search and start again, as it were, but this time with screening. So I'm going to put in screening, and then you can see we've got other elements like early detection or test or diagnosis. I'll go for this one this time. So again, we're going to explore the title object fields first and combine it with the Boolean or for some headings. And I'll just close this and I'll choose relevance here and see how we get on with relevance. Okay, so again, screening, use health screening here. And then we can choose it from here. Again, you see the tree, scope note, subheadings, etc. And if you scroll down, sorry, we're going to go up, click add to search, and we're going to combine the two again. So the free text search, the keyword search within title abstract plus the index search, and then we'll click search here. Now, obviously, this is just one way of searching in a kind of a semi-basic, semi-advanced level. There is more advanced search functionality coming. For example, the search history will display above the result list in due course. I'll say more about that as we near the end of the session. But right now, if you're going to view the current search history, what you've done so far, go to recent activity, and you'll see we've got the two sets here. So the first one now is S2 because by default, it's in reverse chronological order. So it always gives you the most recent result set first. Okay. Now, if you want to view it in the order that you've searched, then go to newest and select oldest. So now you can see the logic. S1 for bowel cancer, S2 for screening. Okay, so a combination of title abstract searching with subject searching, and you can see the MH there for the field code for that. So now we want to combine the two. How do we do that? We simply just select both sets here, and then we can use the new button here. So a few weeks ago, this was represented by a little wishbone icon, which was not that visible, not that clear to users. It has been enhanced even within the last few weeks to include this bar here, if you like, with these buttons. So we can now select combine with and. It then combines the two sets in the search box above, and if you click search, you can now combine the two sets and bring back results. Okay, so a bit more intuitive than it was previously. So now we've got the two elements combined, and then we can go through the process, of course, of filtering as needed. So we have got the quick filters below the search box. So again, we mentioned link full text, so I can go for link full text here, for example. Bring up full text records. Okay. We've got peer reviewed content if we want to use that. All time again, we may want to go for the most recent, so let's say past 12 months. Okay, and then we've got source type. So the majority are academic journals, but we don't really want the magazines, so we just filter here and apply. And then if there are other filters we want to make use of, we go to all filters, and you'll see on this menu, it has the currently selected filters as active filters shown with this expander, and then below that, you'll see other filters. Some of these have already been selected. So if we are looking, for example, a particular age group, then we can go in here and select this listing. So for example, if we're looking at middle-aged, then we can select this one and click apply here. So again, the filters, majority of filters are hidden from view. You need to click the all filters button and they'll appear on the right hand side. And again, this is the result of usability tests, feedback from users, and so on. So we have the results below. Okay. Now, one thing, if I go into recent activities, I want to go back here a moment just quickly. And if I want to view the search, You'll see it here. Okay. So you can rename the search here. For example, we can change this bowel cancer. Okay. Cancer screening. Okay. And also you can see the query here, and you can copy that to the clipboard and you paste it again if you need to. Okay. Now always remember to scroll down, by the way, to save these changes here. Okay. And you click close now. Okay. So, and you can see the summary there. We've applied link full text, the past 12 months, etc., and the age group also to the search. And it does give us the search mode proximity here, plus the expander that's been applied as well. So you can note that as needed. Okay, so go back to this page. Okay. So one thing to note here, as you view the result list here, you'll see again, relevance is the default sort. You can change it to the newest or oldest here. We also have the record. So you have the brief record display that gives you the link to the title. If there's multiple authors, you may need to click further. So 3 more here to view the rest of the authors. Likewise, if you want to view the entire abstract, as you see here, we've got a couple of lines here, then click show more and it will give you the full abstract. Notice the keywords are highlighted, by the way. Likewise with the subject fields. So these are the subject terms, the CINAHL headings. Click, you see there's 25 more. So click that one, that link, and it gives you the complete listing of subject terms there. So for each item that has abstract, click the show more link and just avoids the screen becoming cluttered. So I know I've had comments about this. What if you want to display the abstracts in the entirety for the whole result list? To do that, that is a setting that you need to enable in EBSCO Experience Manager. So again, that's the admin tool to administer the interface for the NHS in England, and I'm sure other parts of the UK like Wales, Scotland, also the NHS in Ireland. It would be centrally managed. So it would be a case of, librarians, users deciding this is what we really want to see. Okay, you can of course toggle between the original view, etc., and the full view if you need that. Okay, although it's not showing that one there for some reason, still displaying there. But again, you can expand these fields to view them. Okay, now of course you can go into the result here. So for example, just go into this one, you can click through via the title link and you can see the record there, and below that you'll see the complete abstract also displayed on this page. Okay, if you're viewing the detailed record, of course, it also allows you to save this item individually. You see the saved ribbon there, the bookmark icon there. You can generate the citation for this article. This demonstration site has been changed so that the default reference style is Harvard. The defaults can be changed, by the way. So if you use APA databases, you've got APA 7th edition. If your users are utilizing Chicago, Vancouver, you can select those options by default in EBSCO Experience Manager as well. Okay, so for the NHS, I know Harvard has been selected. There's also the option to copy to the clipboard the citation in that format. And there's also options to export the citation in other formats like RefWorks, EndNote, Web, or online RIS format as well. So you can do a direct export from this page for this article. We have the Add to Project icon. So Add to Project means that you can save this to a customized personal folder or project. So you may already have one. If I select the arrow here, you see I've got several here I've created previously, but now I don't have one on this subject. So I can click plus new project and I can give this project a name. And then if it's an assignment or if it's a search that I'm working on behalf of a user, for example, a clinician or a member of the nursing team, allied health professional, then I may have a particular date that they need this search completed by, or they need to receive the articles by. Then you can select the calendar and then you can specify a date. So 1st November, you can, put more information here, describe who it's for, which department, etc. if you need to. And remember, this is your personal folder. It's only open to you and you will see that information. but you can create the folder on the fly there. You get confirmation to the top right and these distinctive green banners. And then if you go to projects now, you'll see that is also included here. Okay. So that means if you go back, and we'll go back to the page, you can obviously save others into that folder as well. So before we do that, just to let you know, you can also share articles either via Google Drive, OneDrive. You can create a link to this article as well. Okay. So that's using the browser URL essentially. You can copy that to the clipboard from here. You've got the email option if you want to send this article. And if it comes with PDF and online full text, you will receive both as attachments in the email. Okay, so you want to forward this full text article, you can do so there. Just going to check if there's any questions here at this stage. Right, Lise has commented, great to see that subject headings can be seen without moving off the results page, as this is useful for reviews that allow iterative searches or where complex search already is still being developed. So thanks for that comment. So I can send that. So I can forward that article to myself, as it were. I can also download, by the way, here, and you've got the option to download the full text in PDF or online. But with metadata, we now support Word format as well. So again, if you're creating a document, a Word document with, whether it's for a reading list or whether it's simply a list of references you want to forward to a user, to a colleague, then you have Word there. We also support BibTeX as well as CSV if you want a spreadsheet of references. Obviously, this is for an individual article, as it were. I think while we're on this page, because of time, I'll just come to access options here. I mentioned the PDF online here. So if you go to the PDF article, it'll bring up obviously the record of the original electronic record of the original document. So again, as you would see it in print, you can of course print from this menu here. If you wish to print it off, you can do so. We still support printing. We probably do less of that, but that's still there. But you've got the saved icon there, so it's saved already. The citation again is still here. And then you also have the add to project option as well. So you can still add that, although I've already added this one. Likewise, the share option is there to forward this or to save it to Google Drive or OneDrive. The download option is there if you want to download the PDF. And then you also have the text-to-speech software. So again, this is new for the interface. It's not there on Classic. So you can listen to the PDF being read to you, or you can download the MP3 file for offline listening. There is also accessibility support. So if the item you're viewing is not the best format for you or for your users, then it's possible to request other formats here. Of course, you've got Word or HTML. Okay, so you can read up more about that. So that's the PDF. Now, just to show you and point out the HTML, the differences here. So this is the online full text. Okay. I see a couple of questions. I'll just come back to those. So this is the HTML, which is obviously better for online viewing. And also you can see the publication contents listed as well. Again, the same tools are there for citing, adding to the project, sharing, downloading, printing. And then this time you got the translate option there, that little globe icon. So if this was another language, you want to translate it to English, you can. Or if, for example, as may be the case in the HSC in Ireland, you want to view this in Guelga, then you can choose language here, go to the appropriate language, and then you can just switch over. Of course, any native speaker, any fluent speaker of this language would be able to verify the accuracy. So it is a machine translation provided by Microsoft, by the way, as you see there on the right-hand column. So again, this is now in Guelga. The original article was in English, and then you can revert back to the original language, so you could toggle between the two if you need to. Okay, so obviously it does support, I think, up to, I can't remember now, over 60 languages, I think. You see Welsh there as well, and others. So many others there. So you can translate online full text to another language. So again, if you come across an article in German, you can translate to English, etc. So those are also available. So that has the advantage again. And by the way, I just want to mention this. Sorry, go back again. The Text-to-speech software is there, and with this for HTML, you also have the added advantage of the text highlighting as well. So you can still download it, list it online, or download offline, but you also have the word color, sentence color that you can amend, you can change. Okay, so I'm just going to go back here and also respond to the questions that are coming up. So I've got, can you download a Word document of your search strategy? Yes, you can. So let me come to that now. So we've been looking at references essentially. So let me go back now and come here. Let's go back to the search. So we've got search results there. So I can, select these records and I can download these records, by the way, into PDF or Word, etc. So this is download result list, as it were. Okay, so I can do that here. In addition to that, I can export as well. So I can go here and I can export up to 25,000 records. Sorry, let me just come back here. Just that arrow there. And I can export to up to 25,000 records. I can add my email address, that of others if appropriate. By default, it's XML, but we can switch to RS or BibTeX or CSV. And I can send a link to my inbox. So that will be available for 7 days. I can then, that will link to download the metadata that I can then import into EndNotes, Zotero, etc. So that export option is there, supported up to 25,000 records at one time. Okay, so that's the result list. You can obviously select individual records as well, by the way, if you need to. In terms of the search itself, if you go to the tools menu, you'll see you can save a search here. And then again, you can change the title of the search. Okay. And then I'll just put in 2 here, as I said it already previously, and I can save this. Okay. So by default, whenever you save a search, it's going to be saved to the save folder, not your projects folder. Okay. So if I go to save now, it will be stored here under searches. Okay, so this is one now. So that one I saved directly to the project. So I've got my search here. I can go in and I can add this to the project. Okay. So let me go in. So go into this one. So let me just see here. In fact, let me go to project. Let me just see here this again. So this is one I want to look at again. So searches. And I think I want to go to recent activity. Let me go to recent activity here. So yeah, recent activity. So this one I want to get to. So on here, if I select, so if I had these sets, these are set 9 sets. They're different ones, but if they were the same search string, but 9 sets, then I can download here. So I can download in Word format. So I wanted to just highlight this in response to Kirsty's question. Can you download a Word document of your search strategy? Yes, you can. So basically, within recent activity, you can download your search strategy into Word format. So I worked with a colleague recently. We did a search for a particular organization. It was a 70+ line search strategy. So if you had 70 lines of the same search, you could download that here, okay, into Word. So I hope that answers the question. Just wanted to highlight that. So I jumped around a bit there. But basically, the answer is yes, you can download your search history. So again, if I wanted to sort this the most in sequence, and I appreciate these are slightly different. Some of these are repeated, but basically I can just sort them by oldest to get the sequence. Then I can go in and download. Okay, and choose Word. Okay, so just download that, and it brings up. I might be able to show that on screen just so you can see what it looks like. There's a bit of a mess because obviously I've been doing the same search basically, but you can see here. This is how it appears. Okay. And obviously you can edit this. Once you've got a Word document, you can edit it, but you can do that. So thanks for that. Okay. So I'm catching near the hour marks, still a bit to cover. So bear with me while I just come back here and just see if there's anything else I need to answer. I think that one was location of practice. So Okay, so I'm going to come to your question at least in a minute. So we've got Elizabeth, do you need to add location practice at the beginning of the search in limiters count, or can you add it with filters later? So at the moment, the location of practice is available as a filter on this page. Okay, so you basically therefore create your search and apply the filter as I did earlier. Now I used it in conjunction with natural language search, but the filter is here. Now you could come in theory back to a search. So if I rerun, let's go to recent activity, for example. If I just rerun this search, in theory, I could go to advanced search and see if this will work. It probably will. I'm not sure what's up. Well, that's there for, but we'll just try this. I mean, it's a bit clunky this way, I would say. I'm not sure this will show up as it should. Yeah, it does. Okay, so yeah, you can rerun it. You can go back to your search, but you need to make sure you're back on the advanced search page to select location of practice. So at present, there's no under all filters. It is not listed here. I need to check into that why. You have geography, but then that reverts back to the original country publication, right? It means there are 5 journals covered here, which are published in the UK or Ireland, essentially. Okay. So again, yeah, you can toggle, you can, go back to your original search, go to advanced search and apply location practice in that fashion. Probably a bit clunky, but anyway, it's possible to do that. So yes, you can do that. But typically it's probably easier to apply it from the initial search on this advanced search page. So again, Lisa's comments there. In the save searches, what options are available behind the 3 dots of a specific search? Good question. So if we go to saved here, I think that's what you mean. Go to searches, and then you see the 3 dots, right? The tools. So these are the tool, we call them the kebab sometimes. The tools menu, and you'll see search details or add to project here. Okay, so that gives you the search. You can change the name, add a description, etc. Copy the search here. And then you can also add it to a project. Sorry, this one here. Add to the project. Okay, so those 2 items are available there. I think if we go to projects, and you might see a bit more. Yes, you can edit the project here and delete it. So for example, this one here, if I no longer require, I can delete it here. Okay, so that the project allows you to delete items there as well. Okay, so try and move on quickly. Often we advise people to do a keyword search first, and then filters gradually at the end, so the search is refined stage by stage. Yes, I agree, Claire. That would be the most appropriate way to do it. To do the search and then apply filters as necessary. Obviously, you might apply less filters if you're doing a system review. Again, some of the functionality is not there yet for that, but I will allude to that in a moment. Okay. I just want to also highlight 2 more things, probably the alerts feature. So if we go back to a search, again, I'll use this one for now, and I run the search. That's not saved there, sorry. Save search here. Let's just go for this one, for example, I did one previously. If I want to be alerted to new content for this search, there is an option. In fact, what's happening. I'm going back to my multiple databases. So I'm using this demonstration site and has multiple databases selected. So if I click select here, okay, and go into see recent activity and this search here, I've already got results here. But anyway, we'll just do an alert here. So if you click on the 3 dots above, you can save the search and create the alert here. Okay, so this was on chronic migraine and acupuncture. I can change the name of it. And acupuncture. Okay. Give it a description. Again, it could be on behalf of a user. I'm doing this. The frequency is daily by default. You can change it to weekly if you prefer. And it lasts for up to 1 year. Obviously, you can go in later to delete if you need to. You can add an email address here, etc., and create the alert. So that alert, of course, is confirmed as being saved, created, and then you'll see under my dashboard, it's stored under the alerts here, under search alerts there. So you can go in, you can edit it, so you can change the frequency, etc. And when you do that, it also prompts you to renew it. If you want to extend to renew it, you can. Okay. And then if you don't need it or it's no longer required by the user that you set it up for, then you can delete it here. Okay, and a question here from Claire. Will the Ask a Librarian form return at the end of October? Good question. I know Ask a Librarian was used historically for the hub for the EBSCO Discovery Service for the NHS in England. I don't know if that's coming or that's possible at this stage. Good question. Okay, so in fact, there are, if you place any links now within the new interface, these will be under this panel on the left. Okay, so it'd be under research tools. There are some scope to add links here. Okay, so I believe that's probably where it would go if there's one to be added. Just so we got journal alerts here. Again, if you want to just be alerted to a particular journal, then you can search or browse for a journal here. I mentioned British Donor Nursing earlier. Okay, so you can just search this journal, click through to it. You can view the metadata, of course. You can view the different articles, etc. And if you go to the three dots there, the tools menu, you can create the alert here. And this time it brings up a similar looking page with the name of the publication, the date created, and then you can enter the email address and create the alert. So you'll be notified of new content for that journal, and that, as you'd expect, will be stored under my dashboard. Okay, here. Okay, so search alerts, have a tab there, and then there's a separate tab for journal alerts. So the last thing I wanted to show you was really the Pico app, just to clarify how that works. So on here, you got Pico above the search boxes, and then you got the 5 areas there. So for example, if we enter this one on depression here, okay, I'm going to use truncation, so that's the asterisk for depressed or depressive, etc. I can add exercise. I can also include physiotherapy or physiotherapist. If I truncate it, I can use physical activity or activities with quotation marks as well. I can add antidepressants, and I can add, for example, quality of life. So I'm just going to do this quite quickly for the sake of time. But the first 2 elements are the key ones. The other 2 fields are not necessary. And of course, there may not be a comparative treatment that you're looking at. But once you've entered these terms, click Add to the search. You'll see the query, the built-in query constructed, and then you run the search here. Obviously, this is probably a search you may run more likely on Psychology Behavioural Sciences collection, which is also available for the NHS in England, or APA PsycInfo if you subscribe to it. But you can see the references below. Okay. So again, this is the Pico app, which is available there, which basically supports you have a research question, you translate that into a framework like Pico, and then you can apply the terms in the boxes provided. So just to clarify then, platform roadmap, there are upcoming releases of features. So we have the EBSCO roadmap. So we've got research platforms that covers the EBSCO's interface, as it were, so CINAHL included. It's updated every quarter, but sometimes more frequent in that. And it basically allows you to filter to the EBSCO's interface and also by date as well to see what's coming soon. So we have, for example, the bulk delete from search history is coming soon. We also have the ability to view the search history displayed above the result list. And I know this has been long anticipated, but that's coming out next month. So you'll see that. So instead of going to recent activity to see your search history, for those who use the advanced search page, it will appear above the result list. Okay, so Joanne just asked where was Pico, so let me just go back here quickly. So Joanne, I hope you can see that now. So this is the advanced search page, and you see Pico on the top right above the all fields boxes there. And if you go to basic search, it's still there as well. Okay, so on the right hand side. So again, it's a feature that is enabled through EBSCO Experience Manager. If your institution has not enabled that, it would not be visible. Okay, so in most cases, I think most institutions which support medical students, healthcare students, etc., or use healthcare databases, that would be showing still. Okay, so if it's not, please do let us know. So as I said, there's some more exciting developments taking place with the interface, and we have, of course, the EBSCO Connect portal, connect.ebsco.com, which allows you, if you're signed in, to report cases. So if you work outside the NHS, then you can use this as a case management system, if you like, to report issues, requests with EBSCOhost, etc. If you sign in as a user. If you're in the NHS, we generally advise going to the service desk for the NHS, as it were. So if you're in England, use the NHS service desk. For other organisations, you may want to track cases through EBSCO Connect. So you need to sign in for that to access the case management system for your institution. Okay. We also have EBSCO Academy. So if you want more training materials, videos, etc., then they are available through this page, through EBSCO Connect. And that will give you, again, videos, also our e-learning pass, and then also instructor-led courses also. And for the NHS specifically, and also for those who specialize or focus on healthcare courses, etc., we do have our training resources portal, and that includes links to recordings, and this will be included there, and also upcoming training as well, which is via my Calendly page. So if you're interested in what's coming up in October, I've updated that recently, and we have support information for the various databases, resources that you may have access to as well. And there are several links ready to key documentation related specifically to the new interface. These are generic, not just only for CINAHL, but for other databases like Medline, Academic Search Ultimate, and so on. So there's the quick start guide. There's the frequently asked questions as well. And you, of course, may contact me directly at rcrooks@ebsco.com. Okay, so I know a bit of a whirlwind tour. Happy to conclude there, and we'll see you online in due course, hopefully. Thank you very much.